Hi, mamas. Let's just cut right to the chase today. What is a women's circle? There's many different ideas to what one can be. People run them in many different ways, but essentially the key principles are what creates that women's circle. Because what it does is it creates an environment, a safe space where women can share from their heart and listen and be seen and heard by other women. So it is certain principles are needed to create this space. Those are the principles we're going to go over today. And then for the first time ever, I've been recording the Mama Genius Hub pilot for the TV show. I'm able to release a mini 10-minute circle because, again, part of the sanctity of circles is that they are not recorded. They are meant for the purpose of those who are there at the moment and not to necessarily be shared with other people. But we create these mini circles to get that I got permission from to share with others so that you can have an idea of what is possible. That is the key to Women's Circle, is really creating this dynamic where we are able to speak from the heart and really learn what is inside of us. It is the quickest way to do that deep work and wonder, what do I actually want? What do I like doing? What are these things that I don't necessarily know the answers to when asked? But it gives us the chance to figure those things out among the safety of other women. So let's dive right in. Some of the key principles are, first of all, number one is creating that sacred space that we speak from the heart. So it is, many women do it different ways. I do it by opening up and stitching in. And the word stitching in means that the women are then being connected to each other energetically. We are all energetic beings. And so when we sync up our energy for that moment, it allows us to create that space of openness. Other people do it by calling in the different directions from the earth. There are so many different ways to do it, but it is an intentional method to create that sacred space, something that opens up the circle and creates that energetic bond between the women. Or it doesn't have to be just women. We can have countless circles where we do this co-ed, or men can do it as well. Again, but it's creating an intentional space. That is key. Number two, when we're finished talking, we want to use some kind of closure like, I am complete, I'm done. Mainly because silence is so key, which we'll come to in a moment, in circles, that we don't want to assume just because someone pauses that it's time to talk over them. Sometimes we need those pauses to really get into our heart and have that chance to see what comes up. So we like to end with some kind of wording that you all agree on. So it could be, I'm complete, I'm done, but that everyone knows that that is a signal they have spoken what they needed to at that moment. Number three is that we are listening. So there is no crosstalk. If it is not your turn to speak and someone is in the middle of speaking, we do not respond to them. We do not answer them. We do not try to fix them. We'll get to that as well. I'm jumping ahead of myself, but we'll keep, as I explain them, they overlap with each other, that we really truly get into them. And number four is that silence, because we need to get comfortable with that silence. Silence is really the key to opening up what's inside of us, especially when you're talking to your kids. Sometimes we think that they're done talking, just like why we use the words I'm done in circle, but they might not be finished. And sometimes when we talk over them, it shuts down the process of them figuring it out for themselves. So a lot of times when they're silent, sometimes it's just hold their hand or hug them or just wait and let that silence be to see what else is coming out of them. And the same thing happens with circle. And the beauty of circle is it gives us that practice to really learn how to do it so that we are able to do it more intentionally with our families and other people around us. And we start to really experience life in a different way as we really truly hear and listen to others and not worry about what's coming out of our mouths next, but really see what is this person in front of us, what is their experience right now that we need to focus on. And number five, listening with discernment instead of judgment. We leave the judgment at the door, or actually just start to release it altogether, because all of us are doing the best we can, especially us moms. We're doing the best mothering that we can. Everyone is doing the best they can. And so rather than judge, You listen to their stories, you listen to their experience and see where it takes us in our own journey and our own understanding of who we are, rather than saying, oh, I wouldn't do it like that. And again, once you start really listening to other people, you're more often than not, you're like, oh, me too. Me too. And we get that feeling that we're not alone in all this, which happens a lot as we feel alone. Number 6, hold in confidence, which is why I feel so privileged to be able to share a recording with you that have given permission for, because honestly, I wouldn't feel comfortable sharing a full long hour or hour and a half circle because they are sacred. They are held in confidence, but these mini circles were created to be shared so that there can be some understanding for those who want to come try and see what it's like. And sometimes when we see a circle is more of an experience than knowing what it is, and it's about how you create it and the people that are there, that it's hard to just say that we're going to do this. So I wanted to be able to present that to you. So I'm so excited that you'll be able to hear a mini circle after this. And number 7, we speak from our own experience. We're not bringing in other people or what we think others are like, or what we just talk from where we are at and how we feel in that moment. And again, one circle opens, those feelings may very well change. And sometimes, when you're always focusing on what you're going to respond to someone else, when you feel compelled to talk, either because it comes around to you or your circle might be using a talking piece, which we'll get to, then the words that come out of your mouth, sometimes you're like, where did that come from? That is the whole point when we talk from our hearts, and that we're talking from our own experiences, not anyone else's. Which leads us to number 8. There is a leader in every chair. You may have a circle facilitator, but they are not your leaders. We're getting rid of this idea that one person stands in front of the room, tells us everything that we should know, and then we're the good little students who have to sit there and figure out, well, what should I take from this? What do I do now? Circle relieves all that, because each one of us, as we share our experiences, are processing and learning from this circle experience rather than just sitting there taking information in. We do better when we process, when we experience it all. And that is each of you being that leader, because each of you has something to share in your own experience. And sometimes that's silence. And that silence can be golden. You do not have to share every circle. Only when you feel called to, and you'll be surprised what comes up. Number 9, open and close by hearing each other's voice. That's what I was talking about in terms of how do we open the circle and how do we close it. So a lot of times, well, how I start a circle will be by setting an intention. What is everyone's intention for coming to a circle? And it could be just a word. It could just be intention to be. Any intention that you have, and we usually go around the circle sharing those so we hear everyone's voices in the circle. But then when it comes to the main part of sharing, if you don't feel called to share, there is no need to, because sometimes that silence is the medicine that we need. Number 10, the talking piece can be used. Lots of circles do use them so that you don't have to go in certain order, and people don't feel compelled that they have to talk, but they might keep the talking piece in the center and then replace it as they're done, and people may take that. Or if you're on a virtual circle, people may just simply hold up anything they want. A lot of times I'll use my daughter's little squishy as my talking piece. Anything that feels called, just so people know that you're about to speak. So you might hold it up and say. However, when I'm doing my virtual circles, I set it up into a Zoom room that we are actually in a circle. So a lot of times we will just go through the circle. And when it's your turn, if you feel like saying, I am complete, without saying anything, say more than that. Silence, again, is key to our understanding. It's key to getting more comfortable with it. And circle gives us that structure to really ingest it and then take it with us to really see and hear the other people around us, especially our kids. Number 11, we could use a love tuner, a space to share or acknowledge and hold the silence. So a lot of times it could be, in one group I've had, they've used an instrument called a love tuner, but it could just be a bell. It could be something that people are able to call to acknowledge something that's been said, or to ask for silence in reflection for what someone has said, or to honor someone who has been brought up in circle. Many different ways are held, but usually a lot of times a facilitator might have that if it's a virtual circle, and then someone can request them to blow the love tuner, to do the bell or the chime or whatever that facilitator would like to use. But it helps hold extra space in that circle and gives us that use of silence and reflection in what we're doing. And number 12, you can honor each speaker by sending them energy. So one of the things that we can do is when someone's done, you can say, I am complete. And you have the option. Again, one of the things we could do is we call this beaming, where we hold up our hands just to send love and energy at that person. Because remember, we are energetic beings. It's not sending something hokey or pokey. I don't know why I said hokey pokey, but it's really about just sending your love and energy at the person for their share, for witnessing their experience. And as women, we have trouble receiving. So I always recommend, again, these are all optionals, putting your hand over your heart and saying, thank you. I receive that with all my heart. Words can be different. You can change to how it needs to be for you or your circle, or not even use it. It's not, a lot of times people will just hold their hands up or put their hands on their heart as witness to the speaker or the sharer, whichever leader just shared. And it's how, again, all of these, the main principles are creating the sacred space and the way to use the silence and to make sure that everyone gets a chance to be seen, heard throughout the circle. These are the main principles, and then we're leaving that judgment. And a lot of the other things are adopted by making that circle feel comfortable. Some people do it outdoors in nature. They do it over the moon. Some people just want to do it because they want certain topics. They want to reflect on the things. They might want to do it about a certain book. There's so many different avenues to how you can do circle, which is why I was so excited. And I've been interviewing different circle leaders to just find out different ways to inspire each of you listening to create your own circle. Come join another circle. Come join one of my circles to come experience them. And then the other option I want to offer you is, once you start developing circles, is also taking that into your family. In the mornings, my daughters and I do a mini 5 to 10 minute circle before they leave on the bus. And it sets our day in perspective. I mean, we don't do it every single day. Sometimes things happen, but our intention is to try to do that every school day before they leave for the bus together. And so there's so many ways to use circle. The principles of circle is simply to create a safe space where we can speak from the heart. That is the key idea behind circles. And it is so vital for us to really be seen and heard as who we are. And so I invite you now to partake in a mini circle. If you are listening to it, you will hear the different speakers. You'll hear the different ways. If you're continuing to watch with me, you'll be able to see what it looks like in a Zoom room. I invite those of you who are listening to it right now just to pop over to YouTube and just to take a quick peek, even after you listen to it. What does it look like in a Zoom room for me when I host a circle? So I'd love for you to take part in that. And thank you so much for joining me for the Principles of Women's Circle. Please stay tuned as we dive right in straight to a mini women's circle right now. I send you all my love. Thank you. Welcome everyone to the Women's Circle. This is our first Women's Circle. And as you can see, we have all 4 of us on Zoom in a circle together, because that's what community does, is when we can see each other, put each of us in that space and really love on each other. And that's what this is all about. So the first circle principle that I'm going to talk about today, because we're going to go through why a women's circle throughout each of these episodes, I'll be talking about one principle, and then we'll be starting our circle. And the ladies have already been through this and really do know the principles. The first one we're going to talk about today is using the words, I am complete. Now we end whatever our big shares with these words because we want to leave room for silence, and we want to leave space for everyone to finish what they're saying. And so we don't want to stop someone from expressing where they're at. And so we ask you to finish with those words, I'm complete, just so we know then to give that space. And then we can go to the next person who would like to share. So that is one of the principles, is that we make sure that we're done speaking before we move on to the next speaker. And also, since we're in Zoom, one of the key things is once we start Circle is that we just turn that chat feature off. We don't use it once we're in Circle because we're giving our time to each other. Chats for before or after for other points, but not when we're actually in Circle. And so now we are going to start Circle by the first step, which is we stitch in together to create that circle. So I am Michelle, stitching in from Franklin. And today I want to bring more connection and really a presence of knowing what a women's circle is, so that more women are inclined to really speak from the heart to each other.
I am Jamile, and I am stitching in from the Piedmont Triad in North Carolina. And my intention today is, even in the chaos, to still be present with my sisters and for myself.
I'm Christina, and I'm stitching in from Oregon. And today I'm stitching in with curiosity and attention.
And I'm Jenna, and I'm stitching in from Washington State, and my intention is to be as present as possible as I can for this wonderful circle, because I know how powerful they are.
And when we stitch in together, and we now create that space to truly listen. And so what I'm going to do is start with a passage that I had heard earlier today from another women's circle that just seemed fitting for each of these episodes as we go deeper into who we are. And so this will be the same passage that will repeat throughout. It comes from I Sit Listening to the Wind by Judith Durek, a woman's encounter with herself. How might your life have been different if, as a young woman struggling to find your voice in despair, that you might be able to say what you knew inside? What if there had been a place for you to begin to speak as a woman? If you had been received into a circle of women, and during the silence, the women had let you speak over and over as their words slowly came together. If they had listened deeply and attentively to your emerging voice, and how might it have been different for you if you had been seen that day in the faces of women sitting in a circle, and the still older faces of women standing slightly behind you in the shadows, the pride and respect they felt as they heard your young woman's voice? How might your life have been different? So now I would like to open this circle as our main part of sharing. And again, reminding us to use the words, I'm complete, so that we make sure that you are fully seen and heard as part of this circle.
I feel like the more that I do this with you, Michelle, the more capacity I have to love myself exactly where I'm at. I feel like holding space for each other, even with chaos and kids or businesses or whatever it is, that I am still okay, that it's okay. And I just feel like I feel complete. So I appreciate you so much.
Today I want to share a little bit about, if I was able to share when I was younger, I wouldn't have maybe had some of the shame and guilt that I carried with me for so many years. But luckily, in the last couple of weeks, I've been able to lay that down and move forward in my joy, knowing that I am a happy person and I am a good person and that I'm here to help other people. So I'm complete.
I wanted to share today what I don't know if it's a theme or a consistent lesson that's been coming up for me in both my personal life and my professional life, and that is self-trust. And for so long, I have put so many people ahead of me, whether it was my parents or my colleagues or my kids or my husband or whoever. I put their needs and even their words ahead of my own. And so I'm just very appreciative of lessons that I'm going through right now, which are very difficult, but they are requiring me to go back to self-trust in a way that I've never experienced before. And I'm complete.
I'm just breathing in all of your words because it just opens my heart so much to hear all of our experiences as one, and how we, even though we're going through different things, we're going through some of as together. And as I think about this passage, it kind of reminds me to my people-pleasing days of feeling like I had to do what I thought others wanted, which may not even been the case. But the ugliness I felt inside of me because I was afraid of my own voice. I was afraid that people weren't going to like who I wanted to be, or things I wanted, that they're going to make fun of me or feel that shame for, why would you want that? And that was hiding my voice and trying to be that people pleaser, trying to be that person who everyone liked, right? But then you come down, you always hear the saying, not everyone's going to like you. But it's so hard to chew that sometimes. But really, when you start to be who you are and people don't like you for that, it's okay, because you're finding the people who do like you for who you are. And that's the connection that you truly want. And as I find my voice and share that, I find beautiful people like you. And we feel that within inside of us. And that's what this really is about, is these circles are about, is finding what is inside of us that needs to come out. Because you know what? I feel more confident when I'm sharing that. And if someone doesn't like that, I'm like, okay. Versus before, I was so like, they don't like me. And I could feel that hyperventilation almost. And now it's kind of like, because I'm getting more comfortable with my own voice, the more I do this, the easier it is to be, yeah, it is okay they don't like me, because I'm so secure with people who do. And the messages that I need to share and the people I need to reach, because I'm not going to be able to reach everyone, but I'm going to reach the people who do need my voice the way it's supposed to be, not the way I thought it was supposed to be. And with that, I am complete. And as we finish up this brief, short circle, this is just a glimpse of what the in-depth goes into. Most circles are no longer or no shorter than an hour, but this is just a brief 10-minute to see how deep we just went in this amount of time when we're open to sharing and being who we are. And so we've shared such beautiful things right now that we now take the time to stitch out and break this connection that doesn't break the connection to each other. It simply allows us to take it with us into the rest of our day, and to bring it to the people around us as we're now more open to communicate and share that voice inside of us with our family, with our children, in a better place because we did this together. And so I will pass it to Jamalia to stitch out for us.
I'm stitching out from Winston-Salem, actually, North Carolina. And it just feels so good to be heard, to be seen, and to have a platform that no matter how messy it is, that it's still beautiful. It's like this beautiful mess that is bringing about so many beautiful messages. Thank you.
I'm Christina, stitching out from Oregon, with gratitude that we get to share these experiences together.
And I'm Jenna, stitching out from Washington State with gratitude as well, and just so much appreciation to be able to share vulnerably with wonderful ladies. Thank you so much.
And I'm Michelle, stitching out from Wisconsin, just with a full heart in seeing my vision into fruition, but to be able to share that with people in a different level with the consent of these beautiful women, to show the depth of what can happen in these circles, because the beauty of it, and knowing that these circles in general are sacred and kept in secret because of the nature of our sharing. I'm so grateful for them to be open and vulnerable to share this, so they can open the eyes of other women who now can create their own to have that same type of witness. And so I am just so full of gratitude. And with that, I will say thank you for joining us for the Mama Genius Hub TV show today, where life is messy, and in the dance, let's do motherhood together. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye, everyone.